Greetings from the tiny house. This video is going to be just raw, one take. I might have to pause for many moments for self-reflection because so much happened, but what time is it? 9? About 24 hours ago, I was in the middle of my first ayahuasca journey, medicine journey. This video, I want to explain everything from how I got invited to it, who was there, what happened, just every detail, what we ate, the energy. I'm going to try to explain as much as possible because it was so sacred and wild, and I want to share it with you. I am not going to use anyone's specific name. There's only 2 other people besides myself that were in this journey. One of my friends, I will keep it at that. Well, maybe I need to use names, so I'll make up some names. Sam will be my friend, and then the shaman, I will call her Grace. Sam and Grace. Those are not real names, but here we go. Here's everything that I have to share about my ayahuasca journey. My friend Sam has been sitting with the medicine for 6 years. I've known her for about a year, and that's when she started telling me about just her journey with the medicine. That's what she calls ayahuasca. You sit with the medicine. That's what it means to drink ayahuasca. First, what is ayahuasca? Ayahuasca is a psychedelic plant medicine. I think you'd call it psychedelic, although my experience was much different than any other, the only other psychedelic I've tried, which is mushrooms. But it's very different, so different. But it is a plant medicine, completely natural. I think it's the vine and the leaf, or maybe the fruit of a plant. I guess I don't exactly know, but it's like a thick substance, a thick viscous liquidy substance mixed with the root and ground up, and together when you mix those, I don't know the exact details, you can look up how to make ayahuasca, but it's essentially a drink. It is a thick molassesy drink that contains DMT in it, which is a naturally occurring compound that exists in nature. It exists in these plants, and it exists in your brain. It actually gets released, they say, right before you die, which makes a lot of sense given my experience last night. So Sam, I've been hearing about the medicine. It's been knocking on my door for so long. I have friends that cultivate it, actually, on the Hawaiian Islands. I have many friends that have experienced it, and look, I'm a spiritual seeker. I am a spiritual being living currently in a human body, and I don't suffer from drug addiction or abuse, and I enjoy using plant medicines and delving into those spiritual realms because it provides a different human experience, and I think that's awesome to see what Mother Earth and the planet has to offer with that. You know, I don't suffer from addiction, and some people actually, ayahuasca is used to break people's addiction to other drugs, and it's because ayahuasca is not like any other drug. It's not something I think anyone would abuse because it's not completely recreational. In fact, it was pretty scary. But so Sam invited me to a ceremony with her private shaman. These are both white North American women. I just want to be as detailed as possible. But Grace, the shaman, she started experimenting with plant medicines at a very young age, and on and off spent 20 years studying with different shamans in the Peruvian Amazon. And now she runs a, what would you call it? I don't even know, but think of a private wellness ayahuasca ceremony business where she guides people with the medicine. She is a shaman. She played the most amazing music, and I'll get into that. But essentially, Sam, my friend, offered for me to come and sit with the medicine with her and her shaman, which was I am so grateful that she invited me to that. It's such an intimate thing, and of course I took the opportunity because it's been knocking at my door for so long. I know it's something that I want to experience, and right now in my life, what could be a better time? I am experiencing this wild journey of cycling by myself, having all day to think and process the world, and I've had so much physical trauma, emotional things, physical bliss, emotional bliss, so much going on in my world of adventure, and I was just so ready to do this. So as you saw in probably some of my other videos, I was invited, and then about 5 days later was the ceremony. So I followed the guidelines that the shaman, Grace, who gave me. I had to fill out a whole form. I got the price for this. It was actually pretty expensive, and a few $100s, and it was just for about a 18-hour session at her home. I wasn't on ayahuasca for all that time. A lot of it was sleeping, and then in the morning. The journey itself was about 5 hours, but I had to fill out like a form online, just like a health form like you would at a doctor's office, and I also had guidelines of what to avoid and how to alter my lifestyle in order for the medicine to do its work best. Kind of the general guideline is a plant-based diet, which, boom, I already got that ticked off because I'm vegan every day, but also be mindful, like low oil, low salt, no alcohol, no cannabis, less caffeine. Essentially, try to just reduce all the stimulants in your life so that you can go into the medicine experience so pure that the medicine will do its work in the most potent way. It makes perfect sense. So just like, they even said no sexual activity before that, which I don't have a problem with because the dirty biker doesn't get much action these days, let's be real. So that was fine, and yeah, so I altered my lifestyle. I didn't use cannabis for 5 days before, which I made in another video was no big deal at all to me, even though I use it pretty frequently for medicinal purposes. And so I had butterflies like the day going into the experience because I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't nervous, but I had butterflies. So I got to the place, and I'd already talked to Grace on the phone. We communicated my experience with psychedelics, just connected with each other, and I felt so safe because this was with a close friend who I know, and then my close friend's shaman in a private setting. I was so lucky. So we got to her home in the Bay Area Hills, the Berkeley Hills, and we started by just kind of, the room. Her home was so just beautiful and like zen, just nice tapestries and shrines, and it smelled like sage and incense, and it was just such good energy, and we sort of all just hugged and hung out and talked for a little bit and got comfortable, and then we started out. It's so crazy. Grace had this pipe thing. Think of it just like a pipe that was shaped like a V, so just an opening here and an opening here. And she packed one side with this stuff called ape, which is a powdered tobacco. I don't use any tobacco. I don't smoke cigarettes at all. But I was so comfortable and safe with these women because they just made me feel so comfortable. And I just said, look, I'm here to have the biggest beating to my ego I can possibly have and let the medicine do its work in whatever way you would recommend. I surrender, I follow instruction. That was my intention coming into this. And so we started off, she took this thing and packed it with that tobacco and then shot it up each of my nostrils. And it hurt so bad. It felt like wasabi going up your nose. and I started crying through both eyes, not like in sadness, but just tears started coming out because it was so intense, and I like felt it in my brain. But then you get like just a whoom. You just get grounded. Like all the wandering thoughts and just like anxiety and curiosity, you just go into like a total meditative state with this tobacco. It was really crazy. And it wasn't smoking anything, it was snorting it essentially. So we did that, and then we all just kind of sat, started to breathe, do a little pranayama, just kind of a little meditation. And then what happened next? Did we then just take the medicine? No, we definitely like did some prayer. So we kind of sat and opened, like first it was all dark, by the way. Even the windows were like sealed off from light. It was a very dark room with some candles, and we sort of set some intentions, just got to express anything we wanted before we entered this journey together, any fears, any expectations, intentions. And then Grace brought us both up individually to try the medicine. She asked me how much. I said, whatever you recommend. And I said specifically not on the lighter side, because I like to engage in these type of potent plant medicines infrequently in my life, but in a potent, pretty intense way. That's what I prefer to do. Have it be a blast off, insightful experience, but only do them maybe once a year or even less. And so she gave me a medium dose. It was half of a fluid ounce, so it was like a shot glass thing. And it was a half fluid ounce. But what I learned is that doesn't really mean anything with ayahuasca, because all ayahuasca is different. The density is different, the potency is different, depending on how you make it and where it's harvested. So some ayahuasca, they grow in Hawaii. It's generally a little bit less potent than the Peruvian Amazonian ayahuasca. And this shit was Peruvian Amazonian ayahuasca. She said it's like an endangered plant. It's very hard to get. Her distributor, person from Peru that she gets it from, has to like hike into a mountain range and take a boat. Like, this is wild too. It's not farmed. And she said this is really strong ayahuasca. So she gave me a medium dose, and we just sat there, and I just surrendered and did some prayer and drank it. It was super thick, like thicker than maple syrup, like blackstrap molasses, and it was grainy. It had chunks, and it tasted pretty intensely bad. But honestly, the first cup, I remember after I drank it, I was like, ooh, I kind of like that. It was bad to swallow, but then the aftertaste was just molassesy and syrupy a little bit, very earthy. But I didn't mind it. I kind of liked the experience. And yeah, we all drank it. Grace, Sarah, and I. And then we all got to our own little space in the room, kind of in a triangle with a lot of space. We each had a bed. They laid out beds with soft blankets. I had a padded like chair, almost like a gamer chair, where I could lounge in or I could lay down. I had a purge bucket, like a barf bucket, and water. I went into the experience having eaten a full meal about 4 hours before. So I was pretty light, like I didn't have much food in my stomach at the time, because I knew it would upset my stomach, the medicine. It's just a part of it. And so we drank it, and Grace started to play music that she has learned, these lullabies, these icaros they're called, these Spanish songs from the jungle that have been sung by shamans for thousands of years as people engage in this journey with the medicine. And she started playing them, just the most divine music. She had leaves that she would shake, she had an acoustic guitar, she had drums, she had a harp, like all these different beautiful instruments that she played for us. So yeah, I was just kind of sitting up in the chair with blankets on me and just waiting for the medicine to hit, and I wasn't really feeling it for a while. Maybe an hour went by with the music going, where I wasn't feeling. I mean, I was feeling chill from that Ape tobacco stuff, and the music was beautiful. We were just hanging out, like silent, not really talking to each other, just like waiting for this medicine to hit. And then she came over and asked me, like, "Are you high?" And I was like, "No, not really." And then she asked Sarah, my friend, "Are you high?" And my friend has sat with the medicine, I want to say over like 50 times, a lot. And she was like, "I am so fucking high." Um, and so was Grace, the shaman. But I really wasn't feeling anything. And maybe that could be for a number of reasons. I'm a big dude, so we all took the same kind of starting dose, so I'm a lot bigger than them. And you know, when I like smoked cannabis for the first time, I really didn't get high for like 3 or 4 times. And I asked Grace later, and she said, "Yeah, like sometimes when you but don't worry, I get high later." This is just from the first cup. So long story short, she offers me, do you want to drink another?" And I said yes. So I drank another half ounce, making it 1 fluid ounce, like a whole cup's worth, but separated from an hour. And after drinking that second cup is when it hit me. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes after that. And here's what happened. I got super, like my stomach I was super nauseous. It didn't feel good. Like it was uncomfortable. And it's very different than like mushrooms. I've taken mushrooms a few times in my life, and they don't upset my stomach at all. So you're able to like really just enjoy the high. And a mushroom high is like you feel connected to all living things. You understand the oneness of the universe, and it's euphoric and it's blissful. It's happy. You're making like connections fast with your mind. Like, oh my God, this world is so crazy and beautiful, and we're all one, and love, love, love. Pretty much the truth, honestly. That's why I love these plant medicines. I actually think being high on a psychedelic like that is actually bringing you more to what it means to actually be alive than the duality and illusion we live in our modern worlds that say we're all different. What makes me happy is material items. I only find my self-worth through how I physically look in my body and my girlfriend and all of these externals. I think that's a diluted way to live. And plant medicines actually bring you back to what is truth. That's been my experience. But this ayahuasca medicine was so different than, oh my God, I'm already 17 minutes. What the heck? Was so different than any other than mushrooms. So essentially, what happened once I started to get high from that second dose? By the way, this is yesterday. This is last night. I'm not high, and I also still haven't used cannabis. It's been like 6 days now. I'm still like holding space, and I will explain what that means right now. So once it started to hit, I felt super sick, but it also started to hit in my mind, but I really couldn't focus. I felt that feeling of like I'm about to get super high and like, whoa, what is kind of happening? And the music was playing, and it was just like all super intense. And purging is a part of the ayahuasca experience. Physically, emotionally, spiritual purge. But first, it manifested in a physical one. So I hadn't eaten like anything in a while, and I just took my bucket after a few minutes after taking that second dose and just barfed all into this bucket, which felt so good. Because obviously you feel very good after you barf when your stomach is upset. But what's amazing is after I purged is when the trip really started, which is crazy when you think about it, because you'd think that it's the medicine leaving, but that's when it began for me. So the music kept playing. She would sing different songs. She'd come over to us and like take rose water in her mouth and kind of like like spit, not in a gross way, but like spray it kind of down my neck and on my head. And there was sage, she would sage me, and it was just so, there were so many things like this, like music, different sounds. She'd come over to your ear. She was ASMRing me, essentially. And now let me just go through and explain like what insights and what teachings and things I was feeling during this medicine experience. So first off, it wasn't visual for me. I would even say I'm bummed out about that, but that's just because I had expectations, which you shouldn't, and the medicine was still so strong and potent for me, but it wasn't visual. I didn't see any mandalas or sacred geometry, which I really wanted to, which I have seen kind of things in that vein, or like things kind of just looking trippy and melting or whatever on mushrooms, but this wasn't visual for me. And keep in mind, it was like pitch black and my eyes were closed most of the time because it was so intense. But it was just an introspective experience. So I started, the feelings and the teachings that were coming to me in the beginning was this deep faith and understanding of non-attachment, which is, I think, essentially the meaning of life, is to realize that attaching onto anything, meaning, like, even you could argue that all emotions, like sadness, happiness, are really a result of you attaching onto a concept and then it either working or not working. Because if you were non-attached, you would feel neutral of all things. But having emotions and going on a roller coaster ride, I mean, emotions are beautiful, it's part of the human experience, but you could argue that it's because you're attached to things. The reason you would feel sad is because you attach onto a perception of what something is, but then when it doesn't work out your way, you're sad. For instance, a friend passes away, a family member, a dog, or even as small as you get a bad grade on a test. You were attached to the idea of your dog being your friend, taking walks. You wanted that to last forever. But does anything last forever? No. We all die. And at that moment, that all made so much sense to me. And I was like, we all are gonna die? So why do we attach onto anything? Why does anything matter if we're all gonna die? Essentially, you could argue, if it was kind of on the Buddhist spectrum, it was on the nihilistic side of like, what is anything? What is emotion? What is life? What is working? What is doing anything with your life if we're all gonna die? And I had this deep surrender and gratitude of like, everything in my life that I think causes me anxiety or emotional stress, it's okay. Don't attach to it, Jackson, because we're all gonna die and it's okay. Just experience life as experiences, not attaching to good or bad. So that was beautiful. And that honestly is similar to like a mushroomy experience, but it changed. And that's the craziest thing with this plant medicine, is it wasn't linear. Like on mushrooms, the teachings for me are usually like similar. It's just like unity, one love, amazing. So what happened after that like start, I actually, it totally changed. I started to hold space. And this is when, hold space for violence. And this is when Grace started to sing Loka Samasta Sukhinu Bhavantu, which is tattooed in Sanskrit right here on my arm, which I got in like 2014. And like, keep in mind, this whole time I was just kind of sitting in meditation like, oh my god, we're all gonna die, but it's beautiful, it's all okay, it's liberation. And then once she started to chant that and sing, which means may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my actions contribute to the happiness and freedom of all beings. It's like the most amazing vegan yoga mantra. I took a total change of emotion, and I in my being, I felt like I was holding space for all of the suffering that's currently going on in the world. It started with animal suffering, probably because that's what I spend a lot of my time thinking about and talking about in my life. So I like kind of jumped up and got into child's pose. So like on my knees with my arms out, and I started like rocking back and forth. And let me keep in mind, I'm not a crier, and I hate it. I think it's just growing up as a male. Who knows, the cultural stereotype that guys don't cry. I can tell you how many times I've cried in the last 10 years. I think it's twice. It's fucking crazy, because crying is so healthy and such a purge in itself. And I was talking to my friends the night before at Sarah's place. I really hope I just bawl out crying on this journey, because it's so healthy and detoxifying and just purifying. And once she started chanting the mantra, I started to unearth all the trauma and emotions that I've experienced on my journey in life. And I've lived a very privileged life, but even us, the most privileged people, I have fucked up situations with family and friends and shit, and eating disorder stuff that I've suffered from, and broken heart and all the things. And I held space for myself and for all beings, for my family, the trauma that I know they have, for everyone. I started thinking about just poor people in Syria. Seriously, all pain and women who are sexually abused, humans who are sexually abused, all animals that are murdered. And I just started bawling because I felt like I was tuning into all of that violence. And in my normal life, I have so much going on, and I'm also so grateful in my life. And I always have to figure out where I'm sleeping that night, or I'm on my bike and I'm just euphoric because the adrenaline's going, or I'm editing videos, or I'm trying to get sleep, or I'm meditating myself, or I just don't let myself sit with pain enough, and I think I deflect it. And this medicine it unearthed and showed all of the pain and suffering that exists in my being and in the world. And I let it all out, and I was just fucking crying and just bawling, and snot, just full on purge. And it felt so good. It was painful and sad, but when I blew my nose and kind of the mantra stopped and I sort of got my composure, I felt exhausted, but literally I dropped 100 pounds off my shoulders. And I even feel it now. I feel so much lighter and purified from that. Just accepting that shit can be tough sometimes, and not suppressing it, but just holding space for it and crying about it. So there's so many more things I'm trying to remember everything. And I think the thing with this medicine is that it's going to continue to evolve. Today on my bike ride, well, no, first I have to explain the whole night. So that lasted 5 hours. I maybe purged 2 hours in, and then there was 3 or 4 hours of more song, meditation. I ended up lying down for a long time of it. I got all cuddled up in my blankets, and I couldn't go to sleep. I remember at one point I was like, maybe I should go to sleep. This is so intense. It was after I had cried, and I couldn't fall asleep, which is crazy. It was late at night, and I'm always tired just because I'm always doing shit, and I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was because of the tobacco, which is kind of like a buzz and a stimulant, or just the medicine. It doesn't let you sleep. You have to process this. So I was just totally alert but tired, laying in a bed, not able to sleep. I was like, what is this? Whenever I lay down in bed, I can go to sleep in 2 seconds. So I just kept holding that space, and all of a sudden, Sarah Grace offered to, does anyone else want to sing? camera died, which makes sense because this video is long, so I will go to my iPhone now. Hope that is okay. Once my friends sang the Hanuman Chalisa to us, my friend Sarah, not Grace, she opened it up and asked if anyone wanted to sing, and Sarah just busted out this beautiful Hanuman Chalisa. In my mind at that point, my emotions were so everywhere. It was such a roller coaster. I was like almost a mess, but also like an acceptance of everything, because it was this balance of accepting non-attachment and like everything is okay because we're all gonna die and it's beautiful and it's just life, it's yin yang, it's fine, and then feeling so deeply sad for all the pain and suffering that exists in the world. And when she sang the Chalisa, I sort of like grounded back into a meditation where I wasn't as like digging through my thoughts, but just like sitting with the medicine and its intensity and its teachings and its beauty for the experience that I was having. And also just the music was so great, and to be with such lovely people. And then Grace said, "Jackson, would you like to sing a song?" And I'm just like kind of still high but getting down from it. And I started out just chanting Om, just letting out some Om. Those were the first Oms we had done all night, so it was pretty strong and powerful. And then I don't know what came to me, but I started to sing the Jai Ma kirtan rendition that my good friends Jared and Michelle led at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, which makes so much sense because like that's my community and the people who love me and that I love, and like you all were showing up in that. I want to thank you, Jared, my teacher, my brother, my friend, because that was so powerful this summer that it came to me in this moment. And I'll sing the version that I sang. I don't know if it's right, if it was the same, you know, it's been a long time, but I just sang for everyone. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Mata Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Mata Ma, Jai Ma. Then I got quieter. Jai Ma. And just sort of, yeah, I went kind of up and down in a kirtani way. And it was vulnerable for me because I'm not a singer. I don't have a good voice. These women I was with were divine creatures with gorgeous voices, and they played music. I'm just making sure the camera's still on. Yes, we are. So it was vulnerable for me, but I felt so safe that it wasn't vulnerable at the same time. I just felt it was so, I knew it would be powerful for them, for all of us to open up and be vulnerable together, and it would enhance our experience. None of the other women purged, maybe a little bit, but not as much as me. And I'm trying to think if anything else happened. After we sang, I think we started to mellow out. You know, it was many hours of just sitting with it, the emotional roller coaster, delving through and unpacking trauma and just crying over it and accepting it. It was like ayahuasca brings out the demons that are within you, and then it forces you to accept it, which is like the most amazing teaching in life. It's so good. It's like, it's therapy, and you should definitely go to therapy if you can, but it's like therapy with God, and it just like, boom, all happens at once. So then we kind of slowed down, and Grace kind of said, we're going to be winding down, and we're going to open it, we're going to bring on some lights, and maybe go outside, look at the stars, and sort of woke up from it. We're still just like a little bit buzzy. I ended up eating some like grapes and fruits, even though everyone kind of just like, most people, the other two didn't eat till the morning. I just like needed something to up my blood sugar and I was hungry. So I ate some like cashews and grapes and fruits. Yeah, and then we all just talked about it and hugged each other and just expressed our love and gratitude for this medicine and for this experience we shared together. And it was so beautiful. We then went to sleep. You know, I looked outside, I saw a shooting star. It was like I was out there before, ready to go to bed, and I was just like, oh, thank you, Mother Earth. I love you, JMA. And as I was like walking to the door, it goes, zoom. It was just saying like, I love you too. Hi, we're all one. It was amazing. And yeah, we went to bed. Woke up in the morning. I don't remember my dreams. Woke up in the morning. Ate a pumpkin, quinoa, vegan, just very grounding stew, and did another debrief. Talked about, shared, thanked the medicine, prayed, meditated, just all that we needed to get out together. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But today on my bike ride, I felt like my stomach was kind of weak for the first half of the day, and then it felt fine, and it feels perfect now. But I just felt a little bit like weak, upset stomachy a little bit, but not too bad. After the purge, not too bad. But just like I was still holding space all day. I was really tuning in to everyone that I saw. Like, we move through our world just because it's so hard to be a human in the modern world. Even if you're super privileged, it's hard. There's so much shit. It's hard to comprehend the amount of violence that goes on that makes you sad. But if you literally held space for all the violence in the world, you'd never get anything done. And that's why, that's the middle path of Buddhism. It's the middle point of nihilism, which is nothing matters because we're all going to die, and then absolutism, which is everything matters. I'm going to take everything for real and assume everything's real and attach onto everything, right? This bed, I love this bed so much. It is my bed, but that is not healthy because this house could burn down and I won't have a bed anymore. So if I attached onto the existence of this bed, no, this bed is not going to exist forever. So Buddhism is that middle path. It's not that nothing matters. It's saying, no, things matter in the world. There's feelings, there's emotions, there's suffering. But, so you should do your best to do the best you can, but don't think that, but also accept that we're all going to die too, and nothing is inherently real. And you can't attach on anything because nothing's going to last forever. That's what Buddhism is, and that's literally what this medicine was delivering to me, which is crazy. Amazing, but it makes sense because this is an ancient practice, this medicine. So today, throughout the day, I couldn't stop tuning into that. Like, just tuning into every little thing I saw, I was like holding space for it. You know, we walk by homeless people and just sad things all the time, and in our modern world we have to just desensitize to it sometimes or else we'll never get anything done. But this medicine still today is like super intense. Like, I haven't checked my Instagram really, or like I have so many vlogs to edit. I'm just not even thinking about it because I'm just like, fuck, like this world is so crazy, and I'm just feeling like pain and emotion of all beings. It's crazy. But I feel good. I don't feel high anymore. I don't feel tired. I need to get some sleep. Actually, I do feel tired, but I don't feel like, I feel like I am back to non-ayahuasca land right now, and probably will feel more like that in the morning. But like, I didn't listen to podcasts today. It was just music, still just like grooving on the flow. So this is a long video. Thank you for watching it. I'm sure there were so many more insights and emotions that I was feeling during the journey. I just won't remember them now, but they'll probably get triggered and unearthed throughout the week or month or year, who knows, and I will make sure to share that. I'll end this video saying I don't encourage anyone. I'm not saying that everyone should go out and try psychedelics and do drugs. Though, you know, as long as you're safe about it and you do it, like I did it in such a safe way. I paid good money for it. It was good shit. I was in a super protected place. Like I did it the right way. And I recommend, if you do feel called to delve into those realms of reality, it really is another portal of reality of our human experience. Do it in a safe way. If you feel comfortable, if you're old enough, do it with friends. Don't be stupid, because these are very sacred medicines and it should be in a very protected setting. I should mention one more thing. I just remembered, see? Another feeling I had when I was laying down after the purge, I felt so dissolved in my physical body and pure spirit that I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm actually made of bones. I don't feel anything in my physical body. I was like pure spirit. I was like, there's no way I'm still like alive right now with my body, because I don't feel like, it was like my body was dissolved. Yeah. So I think next time I try it, which probably won't be for years, definitely for years, I'll try a higher dose because I would love to see some visuals. You can also smoke DMT, which is the active compound in the ayahuasca, which they actually can make synthetically, and you can smoke it. And that is where I think it's a much less long trip, much quicker, shorter, and more intense with like visuals. So I'd be curious to trying that in my life. But yeah, I'm just super grateful. I'm so grateful for my friend, for Grace, for the medicine, for my life, for this experience, for everything. I'm so in deep faith and devotion and gratitude for all beings in the universe. This is an amazing world. So that was my first ayahuasca medicine journey. Pachamama, Jai Ma, Shanti Shanti Om. Much love. Dream extreme.